All right, good morning, everybody. Every day I learn 4 blot Gemara of whatever Masechta I'm up to. I happen to be up to Megillah, and one Amud in one of the Satmar Rebbe's. Remember, as a Bacher, I was there by the Tish on Lag Baimer, and the Rebbe said he's starting a new program. I think he called the Yisodei Torah, where the whole Kehillah they'll learn one Amud a day, 5 days a week. So it's 2.5 blot a week, Sunday through Thursday. And more or less not only kept up with that, but generally I wind up going ahead, like it was a fast day or something, and they might not have it. So I'm a little bit ahead of where they are in their learning, but excuse me, since the Rebbe started a few other learning programs, but this one, I've stuck with for. I'm thinking, trying to think back how many years it's been. Probably 17 years. It didn't start off going straight through Shas. It was just the Rebbe would announce a different Masechta. Excuse me. Like, remember the first one was Sukkah, and then eventually, a few years ago, they said, all right, we're just going to start right from Brachas and go straight through. So now we're in Nedarim. So, I guess it must be about 6 or 7 years ago that they switched to this, going straight through from the beginning. And they did the ones we did already, they did them again. But where I'm up to, I'm in the middle of Nedarim, Lamed Aleph Amud Beis. That's where I'm up to today. Again, I think I'm maybe a few weeks ahead of them. But I wanted to learn this Gemara. I was looking forward to it because it should be a school. It should be, and I want to learn together publicly because I understand there's such a thing in the world, Rahman al-Islam, nothing new. They might say it's New Age or something, but it's really very, very old. The Rahman al-Islam there, Eden, who just don't understand. Like I was listening yesterday to Rabbi Weinberger. Someone asked, is such a thing as a bad Jew? And he said, there's just such a thing as a misinformed Jew. I kind of scoff at that to a certain extent, but if that's the case, so let's inform the Jews. Someone they brought up, look, the New York Times says this or that. I couldn't believe that they were giving into such a negative stereotype. But this is what the Gemara says, and this is what we're going to learn about the Indian of Bismillah. We're in the middle of a Mishnah here, and it says Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Omer. We know Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah right from the Pesach Seder, from the Haggadah. So what does he say? Usahi Orla. He said the foreskin is such a disgusting thing. That the wicked are insulted with it. Shenamar kichol hagoyim arelim. He quotes a verse that it says in Jeremiah, all the nations are uncircumcised, meaning in the flesh, but the Israelites, at the time when the temple was being destroyed, are uncircumcised in their heart. And so that is, someone might see this quote from the verse out of context, that the ones who are being referred to as wicked are the other nations, but the context of the verse, and that's what Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah is bringing out here, is the wicked Jews. I mean, by that time in history, the only ones who were left were Jews, because the other 10 tribes were taken away. So that even though members of those other tribes came to the kingdom of Judea, since they were in that kingdom, they were called Jews, no matter what tribe they came from. Because they were in the tribe of Judah. I mean, in the kingdom of Judah. Because the kingdom of Israel is taken away. But So that says Yisrael or Leiv, that the Israelites were uncircumcised in the heart. And so why is this Orla? It shows the contempt that Scripture has for the Orla, for the foreskin, because it is an archetype of evil in one's own heart, in the emotional and evil and so forth. So now, after saying something negative about how bad the foreskin is, we now have positive things about how good circumcision is. So Rabbi Shmuel says, Gedoy Lamila, how important and great is the circumcision. Shenichrasu Aleha Shalosh Esrei Brisos, because there were 13 covenants that were made for the Bris Milah. So it was an incredible thing, because there are 13 times in Genesis 17 where there's reference to the Bris Milah. So therefore, that represents the tremendous importance of the Bris Milah. It should be noted that the word echad, that means one, Aleph is 1, Ches is 8, and Daled is 4. That's the Gematria 13. The next proof of the importance of the Bris Milah, importance of the circumcision, is halachic. Rabbi Yossi Omer Gedoy Lamila Shedoiches HaShabbos Chamura. HaChamura, I thought that's what it says, but it's a different girsa in the Gemara than in the Mishnah. So Rabbi Yossi, we also have him in the Haggadah. He points out the greatness of the Bris Milah, the importance of it, is that when a Bris Bismillah falls on Shabbos, on the Sabbath, that the 8th day falls, if a baby is born on Shabbos through a natural birth, then the Bris Milah is on Shabbos. If the baby is healthy enough to have the Bris Milah on that day. And so Shabbos is such a harbazach. It's a death penalty to violate the Sabbath, and yet it is not violating the Sabbath, because the Torah tells us that even on Shabbos, if it's the bris bismano, if it's in the proper time, and the baby, etc., then we do the bris on Shabbos. That shows how important the bris is. Yehoshua ben Korach Megadol Mila Shaloi Nisla Loi L'Moshe Hatzadik Aleha M'Loi Sha'ah. Yehoshua ben Korach says, how great is the Bris Milah, is the circumcision, because Moses, here usually we speak of Moses as Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses our teacher. But Yehoshua ben Korach in this Mishnah, I would say uniquely, certainly in Mishnayos, and if I recall throughout Shas, I cannot recall another place, at least in the Bavli, haven't been through Yerushalmi yet, where Moshe Rabbeinu is called Moshe Hatzadik, Moshe the righteous. And the reason why he's called here the righteous one is to demonstrate that even if someone is totally righteous, totally perfect, yet he fails to give to his son the Bris Milah, and he's planning to do so, he's pushing it off because he's traveling, whatever it is. So it says when it says how great, it means how important it is. That Moses was not allowed even for a full hour hold back from giving his son Bismillah, and of course his wife Tzipporah took care of it. We all know the story. But it says that God sought to kill Moses because he did not give his son a bris, even though he was planning to do so. So we could say all the more so, if someone who is so great and righteous and perfect, and yet this one thing he did wrong, he was in trouble. All the more so, people like us who are so lowly and sinful, and to do such a horrible thing, to push off a bris, it's a deadly matter. We're no better. We're certainly not better than Moses. Rabbi Nechemia Omer, Gedoyla Mila Shadeiches in the Goyim. Rabbi Nechemia brings another halachic proof, another legal proof that is similar to the one we said about Shabbos, is that when it comes to what we would call biblical leprosy, which is not the Hansen's disease of today, that thank God in recent years they've discovered a cure for, but rather it's actually not one particular form, but various forms of abnormalities in the skin that represent something spiritual, meaning someone is punished. Generally, that's the way we understand it, with a skin disorder in ancient times because of various sins. One example would be, since Miriam was punished with this for the way she spoke about her brother Moses. So we see that Lashon Hara, that slander, even if it's true, is one of the things that would bring tzaras, would bring this skin disorder that we could colloquially call leprosy. And and the law is, if there is a leprous appearance on the skin, one is not allowed to cut it off. You have to preserve it to show the priest in order to declare whether it's clean or unclean, and then and so forth. But what if on the orla there develops a negatzeras, a plague of leprosy? You're allowed to cut it off. You have to cut it off because it's a mitzvah of Bris Milah, and so it gets removed. And so generally one is not allowed to do that, but in this case you can, similarly to how you can't do some kind of an elective surgery on Shabbos, but if there's no choice, that's what it is. Rabbi Yoimer Gedoyla Mila Shakola Mitzvahs Sha'asa Avram Avinu Le'nikra Sholem Ad Shemol. Now we go back to another, similar to the issue of Moses, although not quite as strict, as we have when talking about Moses, about Abraham, another biblical figure in his personality. That we know Abraham, he performed so many mitzvahs, so many good deeds throughout his life. And yet, he was not called perfect until he had not perfected himself until he was circumcised. Shenema hisalech lefonai v'heyei samim, says in Genesis, walk before me. God says to Abraham, walk before me and be perfected. All right, Davar Acher, another explanation. Okay, I can get around this guy. I think I might have enough room. This car is wonderful. Davar Acher, another explanation. Gedoyle Mila Shalmole He Laibara Kodesh Baruch Hu Saylamai. Now this is an even stronger thing. How important the Bismillah is, the circumcision is. God created the whole universe. Only because of this mitzvah, Bismillah. Shne'amar Kayamar Hashem Im Leibrisi Yem V'Lai L'Chukei Shemayim V'Aretz Le'Samti. Again, I believe this is Jeremiah, right? Jeremiah 33:25 says, "Thus saith the Lord, if not for my covenant day and night, the natural laws of heaven and earth I would not have set." Meaning that this is fundamental to the existence of the world, is that there is such a thing as that Jews circumcise their sons. It's a meaning that the whole world exists because of this. That's a tremendous statement, and we have a biblical proof for that. So, Gemara now, Tanya Rabbi Yehoshua ben Karcha Omer. So the Gemara brings a brisa, which means something from the time of the Mishnah that's somewhat apocryphal in a certain sense. Often it's a quote from the same person. It might be a different version of the quote, as is in this case. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Karcha Omer, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Karcha said, we quote before, Gedolah Milasha Kol Zechiyos Sh'asa Moshe Rabbeinu Lo Amdu Lo K'Shenisrashel Min HaMilah. And all of the merits that Moses achieved did not stand for him when he became recalcitrant and lazy, or held back from. There's another word I'm trying to think of. That he pushed off the Milah. It says, and the Lord met with him and sought out to kill him. It says he was negligent. I was thinking of another word, procrastinating. So Rebbe said, God forbid, Moses wasn't procrastinating. He wasn't negligent for the Milah. This is all he said. He should never The question has to be like this, because Moses, he understood the third day after the bris, you can't travel, you have to take care of the baby. It's too dangerous, that third day. So, it's much more dangerous than an adult, though. So anyway, if that's the case, and God told him to go back to Egypt, he said he'll take care of it when he gets there, right? So why was Moses punished? He did the right thing. And the thing was that since he was busy checking into the hotel, that's why he was punished. He should have taken care of the bris before he checked into the hotel. All right, Mirza Hashem, tomorrow we'll see, if I remember, we'll see more of this Gemara. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. There's a schis. It's even dry in the cup. Verneinner versus verdreit. Auf the richtige Weg. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, subscribe. We'll see you all later.